Hello everyone, welcome to the classroom. Today we will be talking about villainy, debauchery, and all things malice. Just kidding, we will be talking about how annoyed I am that my favorite villains keep getting ruined. What is the absolute bare minimum of storytelling? The power of friendship? The villain wanting all the energy but getting too much energy and exploding? Morbius? Are Morbius jokes still funny? While yes, those are all essential for any story to be good, and they are all essential, all a story really needs to work is a protagonist and an antagonist. Now obviously you're going to need a lot more if you want your story to have any real meat on its bones, but I think that protagonists and antagonists are where you need to start. However, we are not talking about protagonists nor antagonists today. We will be talking about villains and heroes. Now what do I mean by this? Because you may think that antagonist and villain are synonyms, but I don't think so, and I'm a white male, so I'm correct. An antagonist can be an animal, a force of nature, a societal norm, but in this case, if they're, say, an intelligent human or human-like being, then I think that the antagonist needs to have understandable and maybe even compelling reasons for the actions that they take against the protagonist. For example, Scar from Fullmetal Alchemist, who I actually made a kind of perfect video about, is an antagonist. Scar is in direct opposition to our protagonist, Edward Elric, by, trying to kill him, but he is not particularly villainous. He is a survivor of an attempted genocide now trying to restore what he sees as the will of God by attacking the government which massacred his people. However, I do not think that he is a villain, and let me explain why. For me, a villain, or you could even call them a comic book villain, must be a recurring character not hampered by death or even mild setbacks, with multiple origins and incarnations. The comic book villain is not meant to really ever change a large amount because comic books are cyclical. People get attached to villains, so getting rid of them permanently would not be good for sales. So, Darth Vader is an antagonist, but Lex Luthor is a villain. Arlong is an antagonist. The Reverse Flash, a villain. Antagonists in comic books also don't have to be comic book villains. Ozymandias is an antagonist, and comic book villains can appear in anime as well, because Frieza just died and came back for like the billionth time. I love antagonists because I love analyzing them and figuring out what got them to this point, how they compare to the protagonist, what points they bring up, but I love villains because they are fucking villains. You know what's awesome about Venom? He is a giant, horrifying, hulking mass monster, a true hater, one half of him wanting to destroy Peter Parker, the other half Spider-Man.
Open that door.
Huh? Hey, Eddie.
Who the hell is this guy?
Oh.
What are you doing?
Yeah guys, I've got news for you. These films are bad, but not just because they're boring blue-hued misery parties, but because they made a capital V villain into a protagonist, but didn't give him any interesting traits to replace his out-and-out villainy. Like, Eddie Brock in these movies is just a good guy who wants to do the right thing, which I don't think counts as a real character trait. And here's the thing, this is not the first time they've done this with Venom, because first verse same as the second, Venom got a faux good guy treatment in the comics as well. Once Marvel Editorial saw how much people fucking loved Venom because he's awesome, they made him a protagonist in the Venom Lethal Protector comic run. His raw intimidation was replaced by goofy himbo antics, New York was replaced by San Francisco, and him eating literal people was replaced by bars of chocolate. Do you see how that's not as cool? Because I think it's pretty obvious that that is not as cool. And you might be saying, oh, but I love Venom, I want to root for him. You already did root for him when he was a villain, let's be honest here. And I know you probably love Spider-Man, but when you watch a Friday the 13th, are you not kinda rooting for Jason? The really annoying thing is that they don't even let Carnage be a real villain in Venom 2, More Venom All the Time, There's a Red Venom Now. In the comics, if Venom is a capital V villain, Carnage is a capital V-I-L-L-A-I-N. Like, he throws babies out of windows, and not even for a good reason. But in Venom 2, MVATTTARVN, Cletus Cassidy isn't even that bad of a guy. Like, he gets upset at the symbiote for being mean to his girlfriend, and he just wanted to be Eddie's friend. Now, just to be clear, I don't think it's always bad when a comic book villain goes good, but you have to pick the right character for the right reasons. Despite a little bit of oversaturation, I really like what DC has done with Harley Quinn. She has enough personality that even without being evil, she's still a full character. She's fun, bubbly, and most importantly, Harley Quinn was always a victim. She was abused and manipulated by the Joker, and so when she breaks away from him and becomes slightly more heroic, she's easy to root for, fun to watch, and she already has a built-in antagonist to go after in the Joker. Even a character who I don't love, Deadpool, is not a bad example of how to turn around a villain, because he has so much more going on than just being a bad guy. But say if you took someone like the Reverse Flash, who's just a creature of pure malice and hatred,
It was me, Barry.
and tried to make him a good guy, it wouldn't work, no matter what version of the Reverse Flash they use, because none of them have a good enough excuse for the shitty things they do. Like Hunter Zolomon, the third Reverse Flash, got beat up a couple times, so when he gets super speed, he murders the Flash's twin babies while they're in his wife's womb, which I think is an overreaction. Now, speaking of different versions of characters, I don't mind there being a better or even good version of evil characters. For example, Agent Venom, aka Flash Thompson, gets the Venom symbiote after being injured in the Iraq War. He is far less villainous than Eddie Brock Venom was, but that's his character. He's not an out-and-out villain who just decides to be nice one day. Now, obviously, I don't think that a villain has to be introduced, be as evil as possible, and then never ever change even a little bit. But I certainly don't think that's a good idea to take a really cool villain, then take away all their villainous, sinister, and entertaining traits just to make them a protagonist. There are tons of villains who work really well with ebbs and flows and how evil they are presenting as, but it doesn't ruin what's fun about the character because they haven't really changed internally. Lex Luthor is a great comic book villain, as I stated earlier, but he goes through many phases of outward evil, from literally trying to murder Superman to being the president. But he'll still never be as evil of a president as Drumpf or Sleepy Joe Brandon. God, I'm a hack. Now, say I have bad taste if you want, but I personally don't believe that Sony's villain good guy movies have been a good idea. I think that a better idea would have been not pitching, writing, storyboarding, directing, editing, filming, or releasing any of those films. But I am not always opposed to solo villain films, but they are a super fine line to walk. I think that Joker is pretty alright. It's an origin that I would never want to see for the Joker in any situation except for this movie, but its flaws I think are slightly redeemed by the incredible performance by Zazie Beetz. We also have the upcoming Black Adam, and I don't know if you've heard, but
The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. Things will never be the same because the hierarchy of power.
And I think that Black Adam, being a former slave and now ruler of Kahndaq, actually could work well as a protagonist. But I do have a looming feeling that he'll be a good guy who wants to do the right thing. Anyways, y'all, that is the video for today. Thank you so much for watching as always. Have a good one. I'll see you next week. Hello everyone, thank you for watching that video as always. This week I was going to show off this really nice Full Metal Alchemist art book that I got because it is amazing and I love it. But I actually just wanted to say if you are watching this video, thank you so much, because every one of my viewers means the world to me. I just got to 50 subscribers the other week. I think I'm at like 54 now. And I know that's not a lot, but it's infinitely more than when I started, and I just appreciate it so much. Like, I'm regularly getting 200 views on videos now. Like, that's not like a crazy thing anymore. And that feels crazy. So, thank you very much. If you're watching this, I really appreciate you. But that's the video for this week. Come back next week.